Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Highest to Lowest, starring Denzel Washington in a Spike Lee joint, marking their first collaboration in over, 20 years since Inside Man? And this film is based on the 1958 novel King's Ransom and the remake of the 1963 Japanese film High and Low. And the synopsis for Highest to Lowest: when a powerful music mogul is targeted by a ransom plot, he is forced to fight for his family and legacy while jammed up in a life or death moral dilemma. Starring alongside Denzel Washington is a stacked cast. You have Jeffrey Wright, John Douglas Thompson, Dean Weathers, and A$AP Rocky. Everybody, yes, Mr. Rihanna. He is in this film, and I was a little skeptical about watching this movie, and the reason being is for no fault of the movie, is Spike Lee, because Spike Lee, as much as I love him, grew up on his films. I love, School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, and Malcolm X, and the list goes on and on and on. But as of late, I haven't been enjoying Spike Lee joints, if you will, for uh for for the last, I would say, 20, ever since Inside Man, to be honest with you, since he teamed up last with Denzel Washington. It's been real hit or miss. And, Spike Lee has a particular style that he has always been with him all the way from the beginning with She's Gotta Have It. I mean, it's a Spike Lee joint. It's no doubt, no matter what he is adapting, whatever story he is telling, it's a Spike Lee film. And lately, he kind of been just going hard in the paint with his vision. And I know that's what directors are supposed to do, but you also want to tell a cohesive story. And I haven't really felt that from Spike Lee as of late. But the most discouraging thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way lately, at least of his latest films, was his remake of Old Boy. And Old Boy, the original, was just a classic, or is a classic. I love that movie. And when they did the American remake of it and Spike Lee made it, I was automatically curious. I was like, Spike Lee, Old Boy, that just doesn't, that marriage, I don't see that working out. And in the film, did not work out for me at all. It was like somewhat of a shot for shot remake. At least he attempted to, but still tried to add his own flavor and style to it, and it just did not go together well. So him remaking this film High and Low, which I do remember watching. I haven't watched a lot of Japanese cinema throughout my life, but I do remember watching High and Low, Akira Kurosawa's classic film from the 60s. I believe I caught it on accident one time. Well, not really accident. Well, it was an accident, but it was just so happened that I was reading up about it because I was hearing so much about it around the time that I watched it. So I ended up watching it, and I thought it was really, really excellent movie. I enjoyed it. So that leads us to this film, Highest and Lowest. And once again, I had the same feelings going into it. And it's not just Spike Lee. Some films you should just leave alone. Doing an Americanized retelling of the story. Sometimes the story gets through no matter where it's coming from. So I didn't feel that this movie needed to be remade. But I went ahead, grit my teeth, and watched the movie. And the movie is nothing like the original. Even though it's elements of it, it follows pretty much the same plot line, but this is a Spike Lee film through and through. This is his movie. This is Denzel's movie. It's a different story, and it's just along the lines, pretty much following that outline, but not telling the same story. And for that reason, I appreciated it immensely. I really did have a really good sit down watching this movie. Now, it isn't perfect. It is, like I said, it is a Spike Lee film. And when it comes to Spike Lee, either you like his movies or you hate his movies. There's no in between. It's very rarely you would you would come out of a Spike Lee joint and say, "Oh, it was all right." It's it's either you like it or you don't. And for the most part, through his illustrious career, you've liked him. At least I have. He is an amazing filmmaker, and he directed a really good film for the majority of it. Now, there's portions of this movie that I sat there and wondered, what is this film about? What are we doing? In particular, the first 20 minutes of this film. The first 20 minutes of this movie, and this movie is like 2 hours and 10 minutes long, I believe, somewhere around that. For the first 20 minutes, I was completely lost. I was like I was so confused on what story are we telling. And in the grand scheme of it all, once we get to the end of the film and you think back on the rest of the movie, those first 20 minutes they could have kept. It really didn't need to be in the movie. And it moved so slow. So slow. And I thought we was halfway. Once we got through like that first act, I really thought we was at the the third act of the film. I really thought like, okay, we should be wrapping this up soon. It just felt like it was dragging. But once you get past those 20 minutes, the movie hits the gas, man, and I mean to the floor. It really started telling a story that I was 100% invested in. That's when it was like everybody just woke up at that point. Spike Lee, Denzel, the supporting cast, the writers, the cinematographer, even the composer. Everybody just woke up at that point, and we were just thrusted into this different film. And the movie was very intense at parts, very intriguing. There had some really thrilling moments and deep family drama and some philosophical questions that you have to ask yourself, as a parent, as a friend, and stuff like that. It really touched in on all of that, and I was sitting there scratching my head like, what would I do in this situation? It's you start questioning, and I'm not going to get into the point in case you don't know anything about the plot of this film or haven't seen the original or read the book. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody because this is a really good story, and it kind of caught me off guard because it got to the point I forgot. I had forgot what the film was really about. That's what that 20 minutes did. I guess maybe that was the point. Maybe I'm looking at it in a different way that I shouldn't be. But anyways, once we get into the main storyline, oh my God, this was so good. Honest to God, the first 20 minutes of the movie, I thought we finally reached a point in our lives where Denzel Washington was simply doing something for a paycheck. It felt like a paycheck performance from Denzel. And that would have marked the first time in his career because the dude is money in every single movie that he's in. He's Denzel freaking Washington, right? But for the first few minutes of this movie, I'm sitting there like, oh my God, Denzel, why? Why are you just doing this as a favor to Spike or something? I don't know what's going on. But like I said, once it gets into gear, it's Denzel. We are full Denzel and we are full Spike. And it was beautiful to watch, man. It almost brings a tear to my eye because you forget how good of a working relationship, friendship that they have. I'm speaking in terms of Spike Lee and Denzel Washington. Just think of the body of work that they've put together inside, man. Like I mentioned, Malcolm X. Need I go any further? But Mo Better Blues. The dude, those two dudes are money together. They work magic together. You know, every director or every great director needs that piece. You know, for Martin Scorsese is Robert De Niro, or as of late has been Leonardo DiCaprio. But you find that one actor that speaks the same language you do on set and can pretty much live vicariously through their performance. And this is what these two have. You know, same thing with Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. You know, they make magic together and so on and so forth. But man, it was beautiful. And I will say this, big shout out to A$AP freaking Rocky. I didn't know the dude can act. Still don't know. To be 100, to keep it 100, he isn't the greatest thing in this movie. But A$AP Rocky and Denzel Washington have a couple of scenes together. And I was 100% shocked that A$AP Rocky held his own with Denzel Washington, probably the greatest actor in our generation. He is going toe to toe with him, and it was entertaining as I don't know. I mean, he acted his behind off. Now, only in the scenes when he's with Denzel. Actually, to be honest with you, he's only in scenes with Denzel. But when they're like face to face, it just, you felt the magic. You felt, I don't know if it was Denzel helping him through the scene or whatever the case may be, or him knowing that, look, I'm I'm sharing the stage with Denzel Washington. I gotta bring my A game ASAP, no pun intended. And he did. I gotta give kudos to him, man. I loved A$AP Rocky in this movie. Probably my best, not the best performance, but my favorite performance in the film. Really, really good. The only knock I have on his performance, we didn't get to see it enough. That's my only knock on it. Speaking of knocks, this is my final knock and final note on this film. Going back to Spike, love you, Spike. But Spike Lee is notorious for not knowing how to end a movie, and he did not know how to end this movie. This movie had about 5 endings, and, and I didn't know why. It just drug on. After we got to a satisfying climactic end, the movie kept going for like 15 minutes. You had about 7 different scenes that take place. And I'm like, what this got to do with the story? It was just so much going on at the end of the movie. And now, granted, everything that was there wrapped up plot lines and all this here, didn't really leave anything open ended. So I get that, I respect that, but it just wasn't done in an efficient time to me. It just drug on at the end because you amped up, you full of adrenaline from everything that you were experiencing just 10 minutes earlier. You know, when we get to this final resolution to the problem that we were facing in this film, and we're still going. It's like, okay. Then you get a scene thrown in there that was shot like a music video, and I'm like, where is this coming from, and why is this here? It's just, Spike Lee just does things, bro. He just but I will say this, I'm just noting this now, but he's done this in so many films in the past that when I first saw it, I'm like, why did he do it? You know, pretty much the same argument I'm making now. And later on in life, after 2 or 3 viewings, I start to appreciate it. So maybe I'll get that with highest to lowest. But right now I'm like, come on, man, let's wrap this up, baby. Where's the Sandman with the hook? let's, let's put this one to bed. But I will say, no matter how slow it started and pretty much slow that it ended, the middle of this was so juicy and fulfilling that it outdid all of my little gripes and pissing and moaning that I have about the movie. Overall, I enjoyed it and I highly recommend it. Highest to lowest, the new Spike Lee joint starring Denzel Washington gets a letter grade of a C plus. Yeah, it is good, man. It is good. I will say this: had this movie come out like 30 years ago, it would have did bananas. It would have topped the box office tight. Cause this is more of a 90s, late 90s, maybe early 2000s film. It didn't feel like it fit in 2025 with the subject matter that was involved in the film. But with all that aside, it was still a pretty doggone good movie. I would like to know, did you check out Highest to Lowest? Do you plan to check out Highest to Lowest? And what is your favorite Denzel Washington Spike Lee collaboration? I would love to know. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the KB Radio Network on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Highest to Lowest. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.